What's up with Davis Cup in India? What's up with Indian tennis? We just had a really fun chat with Sumit Nagal. This is part 2 of that conversation with 3 Davis Cuppers, the current number 1, the former number 1, someone who's played many ties for India. And we're going to break down exactly what is up with Indian tennis and Davis Cup and how we can move better. So, Purav, where do we begin? Because we've got Sumit over here, but also nice bucket hat.
Yeah, I thought I'll change something for you guys. A new conversation, new kind
Obviously
of
the eyes on
new Raja, new
obviously the
Naga.
eyes on me and Somu, but it's okay.
I
You can
saw-
be wrong.
Anything to
saw-
grab attention.
Yeah, you can be
I
important.
thought you all were too good looking, so I had to cover.
Thought.
I had to cover my weakest element, my head.
All right, and we have 3 different hairstyles as well.
True.
Okay, coming down with Indian tennis. Let's start with the broader picture. My opinion, and we'll start
I
off.
can't seem to imagine a broader picture, but yeah.
Okay,
But go ahead.
Wow.
broader picture. In my opinion, despite whatever, the only bright spot in Indian tennis right now is sitting in between us.
I agree, and that's the truth. I mean, let's not forget.
Let's-
Let's say singles.
Yeah,
because
let's say
that's
singles.
Right,
Don't
singles.
discount
Right.
Let's
the
say
great accomplishments of Bopsi this year.
and Yuki
And Yuki and
maybe
Balaji's playing
No,
well.
obviously we're talking
Yeah.
about singles.
Yeah,
but
singles,
So, yeah.
men's singles. I mean, we have a new women's singles number 1 as well currently.
Is she inside 250?
She's not inside 250.
Okay.
But the only top 100 men's singles player consistently there and a bright spark for 2024, no doubt, it's Sumit. And the question is, you're right, Davis Cup, why? Why, Sumit?
Why what?
Why are we in this situation today where we cannot produce another men's single star?
If
Firstly,
you're talking about producing, there are a lot of things wrong, right? I've always been very vocal about it. Having a system, having a system where you kind of nurture kids from age of 8, 9 to give them a platform where they can play actually at a level where they want to play. Obviously, we don't have any sort of that academy which is run by professional coaches. I would say, or someone who's played at a very high level. So that's one. Second is obviously we have few tournaments in our country, so people have to travel this and that. And like look at the example. Like look what Italy has done. It how big is that country?
Yeah.
But you can. There was a year they had more than 35 tournaments, just Challenger and
Yeah.
ATP Tour. I'm
Yeah.
talking about, not even talking about futures, And then they had 25 players in top 250. Look, France has 31, 30 or 32 or 33 players who are playing in a slam. But just because the depth is so good, look at how they manage their tennis in their country. You have a system. You have these coaches. You get to play under those coaches who's been on tour for 15, 20 years. Obviously, you're gonna improve.
That's home they've tried to create that system.
He tried. That's exactly. He
Failed.
tried. You mean he failed? So, yeah. I mean, and we were actually people I spoke to who were playing at a ATP level. We were actually very happy to see that we get to be home for the first time in our life, where we can actually practice in our country with the best players. And the coaches, I know the coaches who were going to be involved were coming from a very high level. We were very, very excited, and it was very unfortunate that we didn't get to see this. Very unfortunate. But then the idea, it didn't happen. But as you can see, what is going on in Delhi right now, that was the whole idea.
What is
And
going on in Delhi?
It's nothing.
I'll tell
Exactly.
you,
What's going on in
I'll
Delhi?
tell you a
The
story.
National Tennis Academy. Let me finish. National Tennis Academy. I mean, I have been to the academy. I have seen. No, there's no. Don't laugh. But I'm being said. If you, I don't like when they say, "Oh, we want to do so good for the sport. You tell us, we'll do everything for it. We want tennis to be up there." But then, yeah, you go to the tennis academy, and then you see people are sleeping on a chair, or they're not even at the tennis court. So how you want to create a player who's going to be top 100 from what?
Talk about sleeping, so.
Should
I
we
like
talk
to
about?
sleep.
I mean, everybody.
From my hours to
No,
hours.
but I mean, moving over to Davis Cup, I promise you, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. You guys have played. I've been to several Davis Cup ties where the coaches or other team members were asleep during matches. I swear, cross my heart, hope to die. I don't know how that made you guys feel, but I was absolutely livid. I said, man, if you don't have a, I mean, it's so exciting. You know, if you have a pulse, you're excited to be in that match, right? It's 5-5 in the fifth,
playing
or
a Davis
4-4
Cup
in the
match,
fifth,
you're
the
playing
Davis Cup
country versus
match.
country.
And you're the coach.
Yeah,
And you're the coach
when
and
I'm
your
sitting,
support
sorry,
staff.
when I'm sitting on a sideline, I'm sweating, man. My arms are sweating, my body's sweating because I'm so into the match. I don't understand how people bring sunglasses, put it up there, and they're like,
During a match.
And
You've
part
seen
of
this.
Yeah.
I've seen this.
Lot
You've
of
seen
people have
this.
seen
You've
it.
seen this.
You-
And this has happened time and time again. They call back, we complain. So, I mean, you're talking about the most ridiculous complaints. Like, we shouldn't be having to have these kind of conversations for people that are incompetent at their jobs. It's as simple as that. If you're not competent, leave.
Yeah, you know, in my first Davis Cup tie in 2006, I was part of the team and I was part of the setup, and they'd called me. It was great. But that was the reason I stopped eating breakfast. I stopped eating breakfast because every time I went down, I had to choose between the Leander camp and the Mahesh camp. And I stopped going down for breakfast. I didn't know whether.
But you know, also, I do want to say something. You know, when it comes to Davis Cup, lot of people who are not tennis players think this as a holiday week. You know, and that really messes up the environment between the team members because there are some people who goes there and say, "Oh, Sweden, wow, we're gonna get to see this, that, this," and nobody's saying, "Listen, let's sit down, make a plan. How we gonna do this? How we gonna win?"
Who are
this?
the players? What do they play like? How do we play? What's
Exactly.
the surface like? What's
Exactly.
the tensions like?
People-
What's the altitude? I mean, there's 10,000 things.
When
Have
we
you
were
ever had
playing-
video analysis?
I'll tell you one funny story, man. When India played Norway, people didn't know who was Casper Ruud. And you know what he was doing the week
Wait,
before?
he was
You know what he
fi-
was doing? Playing final against Alcaraz in US Open.
Wow.
So that's the level we're
yeah,
talking
that's
about.
the level we're talking about.
So we're not talking about one change.
There you go.
We're not talking about one small change. We're talking about, I mean, just getting rid of the bad stuff and starting with new stuff. Right? I think
How are we going to compare? How do we compare to a Frank Dancevic who's been 50 in the world, a Filippo Volandri, and the other coaches who are out there? Filippo Volandri has a winning record against Roger Federer. How do we compare against these sort of guys and be in the same strata as them? I mean, mind you, we're a country that has made Davis Cup finals in the past, and we all want to do the same. We all eventually want to help the country, right? We're here for India in the big scheme, and we're having this conversation because in the big scheme, we want India to improve. So, Sumit, how does India improve?
First of all, we can't compare. Let's be honest. You know, there's but yeah, it
is what it is.
It is what it is. I think to start with, I think to start with.
tread carefully, but tread honestly.
I think it'll be important to have people involved in the team who's actually played at a higher level. I see it like this. I think it's very important to share your feeling when you are at that spot. You know, I can't really tell you I can't really tell you how to run a wine business, for example, because I don't have a knowledge. I don't know how it feels. But so they need to.
Purav
the
has a wine
association.
business.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Disclaimer.
It has to, people have to come forward and not take it as their own ego and say, listen, it's time, if we want to do something for the Davis Cup team, it's time to get people involved who's done it, who's played at a high level, and who actually wants to improve this, and not do it for holidays. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I that's one great place to start. Another thing, and I've seen this with myself. I've seen this a lot with Sumit, and I've spent a lot of time defending this guy, believe it or not.
I have a great story from 2016.
And the stories will come out. But, you know, one of the things that I've always found is if you look at all the great coaches in all the different sports, whether it's Phil Jackson, whether it's Steve Kerr, whether it's Mourinho, whether it's Alex Ferguson or Klopp or whoever, any coach, one of the things I feel like is they never rip on their players. Right. They never rip on their players. And one of the things that Indian tennis has done consistently since I've started is they've ripped on players. Either they've ripped on Bopes, or they've ripped on Hesh, or they've ripped on me, and I'm not good enough. And this guy has
Mine
got
was the
it.
best story.
Hey, you want to say the story?
No, it's okay.
Can I say the story?
Sure.
I mean, basically, they threw him under the bus for a story that didn't happen, say that he did something that he didn't do.
Like?
Basically, he was a reserve Were you reserved?
I was a reserve player. We were playing this tie in Chandigarh against Korea. Apparently, it came out saying, "Oh, I never showed up to practice. I was hungover, this and that." Which I said, how people who are watching, you can't be drunk from mini bar, bro. Come on, come on. Okay, first of all, people who know me, they know I don't usually drink.
He's not a drinker.
Yeah, so people know this.
He's got
People
many
who
bad
spend
habits, and phone is one of them, but
Yes,
he's not
and
a drinker.
drinking is definitely not. I'm very, very far away from it. But and then they're like, oh, your girlfriend came. I said she came because we were in the same flight. And she left the next day. So and the tie was starting like after 5 days. I said, and I had spoken to people. It wasn't like people were not were aware of about it. I said, this is what's happening, sir. And she's leaving the next day. They were like, okay, cool. Coach, the captain at that time, he was okay with it. No problem. But
Who was the captain?
Anand Amritraj.
Yeah, and Anand's the best captain.
Yeah, he was
He's
very
been
much
super
okay with
supportive
it.
and he
Right.
doesn't talk shit about his players.
Right. He said, hey, Sumit, thanks for letting us know. It's cool. Don't worry about it. Sure. And then after 4 months, bro, when I was going through a shoulder rehab, an article comes out saying that I didn't show up to the training ground. This happened, that happened, blah 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 blah. I said, first of all, nobody asked me. Second off, I actually woke up with an article from Mahesh is like, this is what happened. I said, what do you mean? Like, I was not aware of it. And then suddenly, obviously, Somu defended me saying, show us the proof, this. And then the next statement they come off is saying, oops, we didn't say anything.
Wow.
Really, bro?
Yeah,
Wow.
and that leads me to my next point, right? Because now you see why there's animosity between players and
And I was
But
19,
are we
bro.
actually
I was
going
19.
backwards, so?
we are
you said-
100% going backwards because look at this guy. He's not playing because his back is injured, which I understand. He's gone and seen the doctors over here. He's seen the doctors. He's taken MRIs. And you've played 10 tournaments in a row. And it's a well-deserved break. He needs a break, otherwise he's gonna break. But our second player, who's Sasi Kumar Mukund, I mean, he's a guy 350 and he's openly fighting with everybody who's on top of the federation. How can that happen?
Yeah.
I mean, do you see the fact that Sasi Kumar Mukund, has a problem with AITA? It's super public, unnecessary, completely unnecessary. And then now they call him back to play. Then they say he's banned. Then he says, I'm not banned. Why does this have to happen publicly? Why does this need to happen at all?
Yuki Bambri is not playing this tie either.
Yeah.
I mean, Bobs is retired. Yuki's not playing this tie. Sumit's injured. So where are we stuck? And are we going backwards? Because we just said Anand Amritraj was the best captain and Sumit nodded and you said he was the best captain. And so are we going backwards with a worse team, with a worse
Setup.
potentially setup?
Yes. Yeah.
And where does that leave us for the future? Because Davis Cup, we assume, is the highest honor for the country.
If I had not played Morocco, we would have ended up losing.
Yeah.
It's how sad it's
Exactly.
become. It's how sad it's become. But look at it. Like you said, a country who's made finals, countries who's competed against Serbia, Czech, Croatia, Canada, we would have ended up losing to Morocco if I didn't play. And I'm not being
Yeah, it's
arrogant. I'm not being
it's not an
cocky.
ego-driven
Yes,
statement.
no, not at all. But that's how the reality is right now.
Well, that's
And-
how the rankings are.
That's how, I mean, and the results don't lie after a certain point. So,
But what's next? I mean, me and you can't step
But
in there and
no,
say,
it'll be same thing. If there's no system, like I said, if there's no foundation, this is gonna be same thing. One guy is gonna make it in every decade. That's it.
yeah,
That's
and
pretty much.
this is sad. For me, it's really, really sad because you are connected with Indian tennis. You try and help as many kids out as you want. I do. He does. There's Dakshin Ishwar sitting in Winston-Salem. I mean, I remember a time, 2017 maybe, where we did preseason in
Right,
Chennai.
16,
17, where there's Dakshin Ishwar there and he's this junior coming up and Sumit's out there telling him what to do. Next thing you know, we're in Pune, Dakshin Ishwar's there practicing with Sumit. Next thing you know, Daksh is, whatever, he's in Winston-Salem. Now he's making a run for it. He's number one in NCAAs. And when he comes out, even he's not selected for Davis Cup. And people that are, so for me, it's not like there's one bad problem, but the entire system is horrendous. The fact that the selection committee has no clue where our players are playing is,
First of all, like people who are picking these players, I feel like who are picking these, they're not really involved with tennis. Yes, they're tennis coaches. Yes, they've played tennis, but what is going on now and on a tennis tour is very different.
Yeah, and can you compare it with, like, let's say Serbia, let's say Croatia?
Compared to Slovakia, bro.
Okay, let's compare to Slovakia. Let's compare that.
How big is Slovakia?
Small.
Small, right?
Right.
Look at they had 5 players into 120. How? You know, they made a system. They said we are gonna pick players. We're gonna fund them. These are the coaches. It's up to coaches and player if they want to work with each other. Boom. That's it. Bro, how big is Slovakia? But
They have 5 players in the top 120.
yeah, they were
5 players.
They were. How good was Klejan? Top 20
Unbelievable.
player. I played him
Unbelievable player.
twice. Bro.
Lucas
Incredible.
Lacko.
Lucas Lacko, Klejan, Molchan, Lucas Klein, and people. I don't remember his name. Who made finals or semi-finals or finals of Australia in 2000 something. I don't remember the name, but they
Carol
have,
Kuchera.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But they're
Dominic
great.
Herbert.
Dominic Hrabati. I mean,
Exactly.
But-
How about Gombosh?
well, again, let's look at that. and
How small is that country?
And the fact is that even when you look at the French players, when you look at the German players, you see former players like Michael
Involved.
Coleman involved in German tennis.
Right.
I am not. I hate to say this, but apart
Look at
from
Chinese tennis. Why do we need to go too far?
Look Chinese.
Look
now,
at Chinese
how
tennis.
good they're doing.
How good are
They
they?
have Zhang.
and,
they
and,
have
and when I
Wu,
started,
And we
they
keep
have
comparing
Wu.
ourselves to China, right?
Yeah.
Because we say Asian country, we want to go with China. Compare ourselves to China.
Yeah, they have. Okay, people who've not been to China for tennis tournaments, you go to any village which has more than 60,000 to 80,000 people, they have at least 10 to 15 courts with a center court in their city, in their town. Places like
Zhuhai.
Zhuhai is a very good city.
Sorry.
Zhuhai is very. Let me.
We know where the Chinese challengers are.
I need to. I can't.
No, I've played Shenzhen, I've played Guangzhou, obviously we played the
Liangshan.
What's that?
Liangshan.
Okay.
Exactly.
If you say it like that, I'll really not know.
There's Li Zhao, very small place, and I went there for a tennis tournament in 2018, 20 courts with indoor courts, and you're like, huh? I'm like, in my whole country we don't have indoor courts, and in a random town in China has 20 courts.
Yeah, and I went to a couple places in China to play. I saw Juan Carlos Ferrero Academy on one. Then I went to the next city and I see a Janko Tipsarevic Academy in the other. Again, 20, 25 courts. Half of the coaches, by the way, are Indians. Because
Right.
all the young guys,
of course,
from
because
here,
opportunity is better, make you
all
more
the
money.
good young coaches realize that India is a tough place for them.
Right.
So they go to China and they make money and then they make players. And then we wonder why...
Look how well she Quen
Chin
Zheng.
Yeah, how well she's doing, bro.
unbelievable.
Triple
Zhang.
Z, yeah, Triple Z, Wu, Yibing Wu, Bu, 3 players in 120 now.
Yeah, I mean, there you have it. So I feel like, can we conclude by saying, if we're saying that there's 1 out of 10 that you have to rate Indian tennis, is it fair for us to rate it at 1?
Yeah, I think it's the worst
Somewhere
it's ever
there.
been.
Yeah.
I think it's the worst it's
I
ever
think
been.
right now is probably the worst, because I think in whatever tennis I have played in last 15 years is the first time there's one guy in 100 and the next is 500. You know,
When I played, there was Yuki, there was
Right.
Prajnesh.
Right.
People were close.
Right. Earlier when I started playing Davis Cup also, it was, let's say in 17, 18, 19, it was me, Ramu, Prajnesh, who were all between 120 to 140. At least you had some sort of depth.
No, and
Now,
Saket Mainelli was
Mainelli.
130.
Saket, Yuki
Sanam
was also
Singh was
there.
250.
Yeah,
At least
exactly.
that's a ranking. You're
Right,
playing at
right.
the right event.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the fact that Indian tennis is at 1 out of 10, that we need to improve. Can we say that the simple things that need to improve? Why is there such a lack of trust?
I think if you want to do anything about it, people, like I said again, people who played sport needs to be involved in it. Someone needs to step down and say, listen, this is it. If we want to see a change, let people take control over it.
You've heard it from him. If you need to see a change, you need to step down. Let people,
people who actually want to do well,
people who are
well,
motivated,
actually, yeah,
people who are knowledgeable, people who are committed. And there's a few of us over here in Indian tennis that can do that. But
Very few.
I've heard it straight from the horse's mouth. That's where Indian tennis is. We can get better, but we need to make changes. Changes need to happen now. That's all from the Tennis Geeks. Thanks for being a geek today,
Thank you,
Sumit.
guys.
Pleasure to have you on board. Purav,
enough.
pleasure as always, and hope you guys enjoyed that. That's our take on where Indian tennis is right now. Please like, share, subscribe, share your thoughts. Tell us, maybe we're wrong. Sometimes we get something wrong, but we're happy to have discussions on it, and these discussions need to continue for us to get better. Hope you agree, and see you in the next episode.